there, happy Thursday. Well, I thought I'd go off topic a little bit today, and you're probably gonna see me going off topic a little bit more just because I like my format, but I also sometimes just want to talk about stuff I want to talk about. So today, what I wanted to do with you was share 10 random things about me. And these are not in any particular order, but I'm sure they'll entertain you in some way. Okay, so the first random thing with me is that I was born breech in a small, tiny country hospital in the Delta area of Arkansas. So the hospital was not equipped at all to deal with a breech birth, but my mom was terrified of having her baby on the side of the road, so she refused to transport to Memphis to have me, so it all worked out. But all throughout my childhood, that was kind of a running joke, is that I was born butt first and that I've been a pain in my mom's butt ever since. Ha ha ha. My grandmother loved to tell it, and it was pretty funny to hear her talk about it. A second random thing about me is that I don't eat chicken, and this that just trips a lot of people out, I guess, because so many people love chicken. It started for me when I was in junior high. I got to where I did not like to eat chicken off of the bone. And then in my early 20s, I had a couple of different situations with eating some chicken that wasn't cooked well. And then it just got to where I could not stand the taste of chicken, of fowl. I don't really like turkey that much either, but sometimes I can sneak in and trick myself and eat some turkey lunch meat. And then on Thanksgiving, I'm okay with turkey if it's fresh out of the oven, but once it gets cold, for some reason, it gets that bird taste, like a fowl taste. And so I don't like fowl. I don't like the taste of it. And my husband said that I should also mention in there that I slowly am kind of developing more and more aversions to almost all kinds of meat. And I think it just happens as I get older. And the crazy thing is sometimes I'll want something I'll want this particular meat dish, or I'll want this particular meat thing. But then when I eat it, the taste of it sometimes just grosses me out so bad, I feel like I'm gonna throw up. And so it's frustrating for me because I love being a plant-based eater. I'm fine with that, but I don't have any big platform for veganism or for being vegetarian. That's not really, you'd think it would be something that I'm into, but it's not something that I mainline identify with. But I'm all about plant-based eating, and sometimes it's the more I eat it, maybe that's why I like the taste of meat less and less. But my husband has to deal with me often saying, no, that was just awful. It tasted too meaty. And the tough thing about it is I usually have to hold it in through dinner, that I'm completely grossed out about something, because my little daughters pay attention to everything I say, and the youngest, she kind of tells us that she doesn't like meat either, and my husband thinks it's just because she gets it from me. So a lot of times if something's grossing me out, I just have to tough it out or act like I'm full or come up with some other reason so that I don't get the whole table against that dish. Number 3 is I don't recall having won very many things in my life, but the one thing that I do specifically remember is that I won a pink Huffy bike off of the back of a Captain Crunch cereal box. It had some kind of thing where you decoded something on the box, and then you called in with your code, and if you had the right code, then you could win a bike. And I did. I won the bike, and it was really cool. They sent it to me, and that was my first bike, and it was probably one of the coolest things that I've ever won to date. Number 4 is that I drove for the first time when I was about 7. And on a side note, I actually had my first accidents, and really my only accidents. Well, my first accident when I was like 14 years old, and the other one was probably when I was 16 years old. But I really haven't had any wrecks, like actual moving vehicular accidents so much since then. But growing up in the country, it's just not that unheard of for young kids to learn how to drive early, and it just was something thrilling to everybody that I grew up around with, to put a kid behind the wheel of the car. And so this was with me steering, and this was with me actually working the pedals. Plenty of times before, we had all done it sitting in somebody's lap. How crazy is that? You know, I've never let my kids drive their car, even sitting in my lap like my grandparents and my uncles used to let us do. But yeah, the first time I actually managed all the parts of driving the car, I was 7. We were coming back from my mom's best friend's house, and I did pretty good until it came time to slow down for our road, and I didn't slow down quite enough, and I took that corner pretty fast. Needless to say, I didn't get to drive for a little while, but that was something about growing up in the country. Number 5 is that I have some pretty serious noise sensitivities, and on the other side of that, I have kind of like supersonic hearing. So the noise sensitivity, this all kind of relates to some stuff that went on with my brain several years ago after some surgeries. But the point of it is that it's something that everybody has to kind of deal with around me, because it's a lot. It's high pitched sounds. Sometimes it can just be loud sounds, but I can hear sounds that make my head hurt, that make my ear hurt. It's tough, and that's another thing I have to watch out for. Is sometimes it seems like it rubs off on the girls, because they just like don't like to be in noisy situations that much. And that's something that the noise sensitivity does affect. Is sometimes it's challenging for me to be in a restaurant. If we do go out to a restaurant, I love to be on the patio because of that. But a lot of times the acoustics of a restaurant just make it tough for me to have a good time. It just, all the sounds getting into my ears in the ways that they do, just kind of get me irritated, you know. And then on the other side, like I said, with the supersonic hearing, is that I can hear the smallest sounds. So it's hard for anybody to even whisper and talk quietly behind a closed door, because I can just hear it. And so sometimes I have to do things on purpose to avoid being able to hear everything all the time, because it's super annoying. So that brings us to number 6. And number 6 is that I home birthed both of the girls, and I birthed both of the girls in the water. It was a very cool experience, and it's something that I definitely, if I had the opportunity to do, would do again. I did a lot of research, and I spent many hours watching home birthing videos on YouTube to prepare myself for it. And I really liked being able to make my own choices and to go at my own pace, and it was a very cool experience. And maybe one day, if you're interested, I'll do a more in-depth video about that. But that's something random about me. Something else, number 7, that's along those lines, that's random about me, is that I actually dehydrated the placenta from my oldest daughter's birth, and put it into capsules and actually consumed that as a remedy to help with postpartum and to help with milk production, and to just kind of generally get me over the phase of my body dropping off from all the hormones in my body. And I had several pills left over, so I was actually able to use those after my youngest daughter's birth too. And so I know that sounds really super crazy, and it's not something that you could get away with in a hospital. They pretty much just swoop your placenta away. But in a home birth setting, it is a choice that you can make, is to you know, dehydrate your placenta. And like I said, there's many benefits to it. And the basics of it, if you just think about the simple logic, is that, you know, during a pregnancy, your body, like from day one, is just like building and building and building upon this base of hormones in your body. and they really get amplified the closer that you get to childbirth. And then, you know, when you have your baby, it's like all of a sudden all of those hormones just completely drop off, and that's why so many women experience such radical change in their emotions, which sometimes leads to postpartum depression, is just that sharp drop off in hormones. Now, some people breastfeed, and that can kind of keep some of the wave of hormones going, but if you encapsulate your dehydrated placenta, it's kind of like weaning yourself slowly off of those hormones so that your body has time to catch up with the new system of it just being you and working its way back into normal levels of non-pregnancy hormones. Number 8 is that I always have a jukebox playing in my head, and so that means that it's literally, to me, it's like being in an old country restaurant, or, you know, the country bars that you see on TV where there's the old jukebox in the corner. So that's what I like in the music that's playing in my head always too, is that I've got a jukebox playing. And the crazy thing is that sometimes it's songs that I've got on my mind or that just pop in, but a lot of times it's almost like the jukebox is running itself. And that's all well and fine, because almost all the songs that my jukebox plays I like. But at times it'll get songs stuck in my head that just aren't appropriate for any given situation, like Crazy Train by Ozzy Osbourne, because I get the song going so loud sometimes in my head, if you will, that I find myself in not appropriate situations wanting to sing that song out loud. So that's a random interesting thing about me, is that there's always music playing in my head. And because of that, I mean, I've got lots of old tracks stored in my brain, but these days I'm kind of picky about the music that I listen to, which is also kind of leads into number 9, and that's that I don't watch TV. And that kind of drives my husband crazy, because he loves to watch TV and he loves to watch shows. He's always got something that he's watching, and he usually has to cajole and plea and kind of barter with me to get me to watch a show. There's a couple of series on Netflix that I really enjoy, but for the most part, the sitting down and watching something is one of the last things on my mind. And when we first were dating and first got married, I would sometimes try to sit down and watch a show with him, and he would just crack up because I would just fall asleep. Like, I am more the person that needs to be doing something. And so I do watch some movies, and I do watch some shows, some different series on the Netflix or Amazon Prime, but I'm also very picky about the things that I watch. And you know, I don't like commercials. That's one main reason why I don't watch any kind of primetime TV, is because it's not just the commercials themselves, it's that it's all the programming that's in the commercials, and you kind of don't realize all that's going on until you don't watch TV for a while, and then you're at somebody's house and they have the TV on, and you're like, golly, did that commercial just say that? You know, did nobody else notice that that was just said on TV? So, and otherwise, I'm really picky about the things that I watch. I don't like watching scary stuff. I watched a lot of scary stuff when I was a kid, but I don't like watching scary stuff. I can't watch anything that shows like blood in some type of theatrical manner, like, you know, somebody's getting injured or some situation like that. So I'm pretty picky. I want to watch things that are funny, or a lot of documentaries, but mostly funny things with a little bit of drama. But otherwise, I don't like to watch stuff that's got a lot of tension and anxiety. And if people just keep doing stupid crap over and over, I can stop watching a movie or a series right in the middle, because I just can't tolerate how the characters are acting. Which brings us to number 10, which is completely unrelated to anything else really on my list, but it's that I love writing lists, and I love making lists about everything, and really handwritten lists. I'm all about technology in a lot of different ways, but I really prefer to make my list by writing them down and scribbling around them. And I'm a doodler from way back, so I'm always drawing around the things that I write. But if you saw my work area, you would just see lists all over. And so and they're all working at different times, and sometimes they come together, and you know, there's always a new list being created. And so I'm curious about you. How many people out there actually still like to make handwritten lists? Because it's not just writing the list that I love, it's the crossing it off. So I can make a list about cleaning the house, packing for a trip. I can make a list about anything, and I just love making lists. So that's 10 random things about me, and I don't know if this entertained you at all, but if it did, you can let me know in the comments, and maybe at some other time we can share some more things with you. But until next time, I hope you have the best day ever, and I'll check back with you soon.